Commissioner Ambrosie, thanks for taking the time to speak with me. I would like to start with the Odell Willis hit from Saturday on Zach Collaros. Collaros left the game with a concussion protocol after finishing a drive. The legal hit was missed by referees and discovered after a coach's challenge. What's your opinion on how this incident was handled?
Well, in fact, this has been the subject of an ongoing discussion basically since yesterday and carried into today. I've issued a memo to the Board of Governors, essentially apologizing to the governors for what I thought was a situation that was poorly handled. First and foremost, we missed the call on the field. That happens. We do miss calls, but I think I'm asking our officials to err on the side of caution when it comes to hits like the one we saw in that game. The spotter, the injury spotter, should have immediately stopped the game and required Zach to be removed from the field, so he could be examined by the rider's medical staff. We didn't do that. The third is I felt like we dropped the ball in terms of communicating with the public. I think we should have acknowledged almost immediately that some mistakes were made. I think we need to be accountable. I believe our fans want us to be accountable and transparent. I think we should have come clean. We started communicating, late yesterday evening. I think that should have been done much sooner. We are going to send a note out to our fans today, essentially apologizing to our fans for a situation that wasn't handled to the standard that I expect, and I've spoken to my staff about that at great length today.
And one topic that came up on our show was whether or not the league takes in the severity of the injury to the player that was hit, so in this case Collaros, when it does do discipline on a player, and if not, do you think it should?
Well, there's an ongoing conversation about the way we look at player discipline, and I can tell you that I think that this is going to continue to be something that we have to talk about. I think we have to talk about it with the players and the Players Association this coming off season about how what are the standards we should apply? How do we work together to get the players to look after one another, on the field? So, I don't have all the answers today. I think some of the answers are going to come by listening to our fans. I think some of the answers are going to come by working more closely with our players. But I will tell you, I think we've got to continue to make strides in this area and try to get these dangerous hits out of the game.
Thank you. And so roughing the passer is not the only penalty that has been reworked and debated over the last couple of years. Pass interference is also a hot topic. The amount of contact allowed and the ability to challenge the penalty. Where are we today with pass interference, and do you think it needs more work?
Well, there's really two separate things. One being illegal contact, and the second being pass interference. I think that pass interference is being called effectively by our officials. Again, remembering that the game is played by human beings and the game is officiated by human beings, and we should respect that, and we should, ask as we do our officials to do their level best to, officiate the game as perfectly as they can. But I could, in the moment, I think our games are for the most part being officiated very well, and I think pass interference is being officiated quite well. Illegal contact is one that we continue to talk a lot about, because what we don't want is we don't want our receivers being mugged in the defensive secondary. We want our games to be open and exciting, and it's going to be the subject of more ongoing conversation. With our coaches and GMs this winter, asking them, for their guidance and insight on how do we make sure that this game is played wide open, fast, and exciting, which is the way our fans like it.
Now, the CFL has produced some very exciting football this year. But I guess my question, does that mean business is good How do you describe the state of the league right now?
Well, it's been an incredible season. I think we're very pleased with what's happening on the field, notwithstanding the issues we're talking about today. We've seen a tremendous jump in television ratings this year. So we're very excited about that. Some of the things that are notable, the Thursday night broadcast with TSN. We're so proud of our partnership with TSN, and some of the changes we made Thursday night this week have been exciting. I know the feedback I've gotten from fans has been remarkably positive. So there's lots of good things there. I still think we have to. We have to continue to work at our game. We have to open the doors to more fans, new fans. I'm still not. We're not even close to being where I'd like us to be in respect of attendance in our stadiums. I think we've got a world-class game, and we want to see our stadiums full every time. We play a game. But today I'd say 2018 so far has been a good season. Looking forward to this last week of the season, great playoffs, and hopefully another classic Grey Cup game, and then we can do a final retrospective on this season, and then move on to 2019.
Now you say television ratings are up, so that's great news. How is attendance looking for 2018?
Yeah, attendance is basically flat for across the league. So it's it's improved. Toronto has seen, despite a challenging year on the field, under the MLSE ownership structure, attendance is up about 1,700 paid tickets per game. So I'm excited for Toronto. I found Bill Manning, who's the president of the Argos, to be a great partner to work with, and his team have been fantastic. Obviously, we want to continue to work on driving attendance in all of our stadiums. So, I think some of the initiatives we put in place this year, the Thursday night concert series, some of the other, things like family days, trying to attract new young fans into our stadiums, those things we've seen some great success with. But we're nowhere close to being where we want to be. So guess what? We're going to get up tomorrow morning and work even harder.
And with the Toronto franchise, a lot of us diehard CFL fans just want to see that fan base grow. Is there anything specific the league is doing to help the Argos?
Well, some of the initiatives I've already talked about. The family day we had family day here. They had the biggest walk-up crowd for ticket purchases they've experienced in many years. So that was exciting and positive. And family day was a league-wide initiative, sponsored by my colleagues here in this office. We have to be part of the solution, so we're working at ticket selling strategies and coordinating that out of this office. That's important. But I'd say, CFL 2.0, I think to inspire a new generation of fans, we've got to become a global league. We've got to, open our doors and open our arms to players from around the world. Now there's 30-plus countries playing gridiron football around the world. I think if you look at sports, in general, big international sports are growing. We want to be part of that. We want to be part of that formula. So, I'd say, the 2.0 concept, which we're working hard at, hoping to have, international players playing in our league as early as 2019. We're hoping and planning and expecting Canadian fans to come out and be part of this kind of this rebuilding of the Canadian Football League in a new international version.
That was great. That was one of my questions. If you're expecting players from the Mexican Football League, it was sort of an unexpected headline from a lot of us fans. That partnership. So you expect to see some crossover in 2019?
Yeah, we've got to have when we will have an ongoing conversation with the Players Association. We'd like to see the creation of a global category of players, welcome in players from the LFA. We think we could do that as early as 2019. We'd also, and I'm very excited at the idea of giving Canadian athletes, maybe not those that are not quite ready to play at the CFL level, an opportunity to go out in the world and develop their skills and create new experiences for themselves by playing in football leagues around the world. We're hopeful and optimistic that we can see that happen as part of our 2.0 strategy.
Now, expansion to have the league go coast to coast, that's another thing a lot of diehard fans are just hoping finally comes true. I understand there's a location now picked out for a potential Halifax team. Can you talk a little bit about what's left to do there or what the league is doing to help make the Atlantic Schooners a reality?
Yeah, I think the next big milestone event in Nova Scotia is the meeting that's going to be held tomorrow with Halifax Regional Council. The city manager is going to present a proposal for a new stadium in Halifax, where we're going to obviously be watching that meeting carefully tomorrow. Excited, we've gotten such good support from Mayor Savage, who's been a real advocate for this. We've great ongoing conversations with the members of the regional council who are supportive. So I think the next big milestone day is tomorrow, and hopefully, regional council votes in favor to advance that project to the next level. So hopefully we've got some good news coming very quickly here as it relates to football in Atlanta, CFL football in Atlantic Canada.
I hope so. And just a couple other questions here. This year, the league added more bye weeks to the schedule. I believe that was to improve player safety. Did that work out?
Yeah, we in fact just last night I sent a note to the governors explaining that we were just looking at some injury data which we've been tracking very carefully, and we see that practice injuries, now that we've gone to a no shoulder padded practice format, that practice injuries are down 32% from 2017, and the number of man games lost is down almost 13% from 2017. So, those are meaningful. There's obviously, it's a short-term time horizon. So, scientifically, you've got to be careful not to subscribe to the data in the short run. But those are still very encouraging statistics. Great.
And one topic that got brought up last year was moving the Grey Cup earlier in the year. Is that something you're interested in doing?
Well, we are looking at the potential to move the game at least a week earlier for the 2020 Grey Cup. There's an ongoing conversation with our Board of Governors on that subject. So this is something that many of our teams are passionate about, and we've been working on a plan. So we're hopeful that we might see the first shift happen as early as the 2020 Grey Cup.
Okay, wow. And just going back to Toronto, I always wanted to ask this question. It just seems, so I'm from Saskatchewan, and having the Riders as sort of the only professional team in the area, it's easy to rally behind them. Has there been any talk, or do you see a benefit of moving the Argos just down the road to maybe a city that doesn't have what Toronto has with all the different professional teams there?
Well, I thought you were going to ask if I was in favor of moving all the other pro sports teams out of Toronto. So that's not what you asked. You know what? Right now, my passion, my belief is that this city is where the Toronto Argonauts belong, that we've got them in a beautiful facility at BMO Field. Mm-hmm. It's a great place for football. It's the right location for football here in Toronto. I just believe that we just have to work hard at it. I think we've got to, some of the new ideas, CFL 2.0, internationalizing our game will capture the hearts and minds of sports fans here in Toronto. And rather than moving the team somewhere else, I think we should just have the team be incredibly successful right here where it is.
Great, thank you. And with 2 seasons under your belt as commissioner, what do you see as the biggest opportunity for the league?
Well, it's growth. The biggest opportunity is growth. The big opportunity is thinking big and being proud of our history, being respectful of our history, but imagining a bigger, stronger CFL, an international CFL where we have not just fans here in Canada, but fans all around the world, that we bring in the greatest players around the world to play our game of football, our brand of football, which is fantastic. It's fast, it's exciting. And I believe in 5 years' time, we're going to look back at this moment and we're going to see that the CFL has made huge strides, that it's no longer a Canadian game, but a global game. And we'll remember this as the time that, we decided to change directions in favor of a bigger future, and it's all in front of us.
Great, we're rooting for you. And finally, just looking back over your 2 years, has there been a biggest surprise or highlight so far?
Oh, the fans are the highlight. The fans are the highlight for me. I was actually in Saskatoon this weekend attending an event in support of the Children's Hospital, and when you're in Saskatchewan, you're with the people of Saskatchewan. It makes you first of all, you feel more Canadian. You feel you swell with pride for just how warm and friendly our fans are, how excited they are about our league, and I get that coast to coast. But having just spent a weekend in Saskatchewan, in Saskatoon in this case, the highlight for me has been the fans.
Great. Commissioner Randy Ambrosie, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, and good luck in the playoffs.
Yeah, thank you, and have a great day, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.